Here's where we're at. We're at paper bag time, people. Actually, I can't.
And
I can't
Darren's
see. I
drinking.
gotta take this thing. Um,
Oh, I don't
that
have
went
a
better.
problem.
Oh my god! See, that's where we're at. That is
I'm
where
ready
we're
for
at.
tonight's show.
You better save that for Saturday,
We
Darren.
should do a
You're gonna
drunk
need it.
podcast. We should
We
definitely
should.
do.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like at the end of the season, when they're like, when it's Tomlin's first losing season, we'll all do like free shots.
Let's have
Right.
a let's watch the game and have a drinking game, and every time they do a 3 and out, you take a drink.
We might
Oh,
not make it.
God.
We'd be
halftime.
dead.
We'll be like alcohol poisoning. Yeah, the ambulance will have to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is, it's one thing to lose. It's the NFL. You win games, you lose games. It's where this team is at. It is an absolute disaster. See, oh my God. Tomlin took out Darren.
Yeah, Tomlin took out Darren. That's how bad it is.
Yeah. No, I wanted to make sure. I think we're good now.
No, you're not. Oh, there you are.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was the alcohol
Darren.
that took over.
It's the only thing he took out in the last what?
Yeah, really. It's the only thing he effectively did. My goodness. I just can't believe where we're at. I can't believe what's going on. I can't believe that this team has imploded. And as far as I could tell, the worst is yet to come. I don't know if they're going to win another game. This could easily be a 7-10 season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I mean, the Colts are playing well. Gardner Minshew, you know what I mean? Like he's come in and played well enough. You know what I mean? Like I thought the minute Anthony Richardson went down, I was like, their season's over. Not to say that, I mean, he was a rookie, so who knows what it would have been like, but he was playing well for the Colts before he got injured. So I was really concerned about the Colts. And now I'm not so concerned about the Colts.
And we've seen for a long time, teams that have mediocre offenses and fabulous defenses get teams to, title games. I mean, like the 95 AFC Championship game, that Colts defense was so stingy, and we thought we were going to blow their doors off. And we kind of got out of that game into the Super Bowl with our teeth against that Harbaugh-led Colts. And but you would think, well, that'll hold up. But they let is it Bailey? I don't even know his first name. Bailey Zappi throw 3 touchdowns in the first half. I mean, they made the offense a joke. I mean, if our offense was really clicking, like the Chargers held the Patriots to 0 points the week before, that Chargers defense isn't really good. And we come in and they blow our doors off. Now, second half, we only allowed 84 yards, 0 points, a blocked punt, turnover, and we couldn't even erase an 11-point deficit. So to your point, Joe, about imploding, that's the definition of imploding. I mean, you can't get out of each other's way. Defense stinks in the first half. Offense can't do anything in either half. Defense shows up in the second half, but offense can't overcome all the crap that it couldn't overcome in the first. I mean, they can't get out of their own way.
Nope. No. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do? I guess I thought, Mitch Trubisky generally plays well, and we've talked about this before, when nobody's breathing down his neck, right? So I thought he was going to come out there because, I mean, who was going to breathe down his neck? Mason Rudolph? You know what I mean? Like, there didn't seem to be like there was, it was the Mitch Trubisky show. You know what I mean? And I thought that he would have played better, having that sort of confidence behind him. But I do say, well, you know what? The short week, it really does. You know what I mean? It really does something to a team normally, let alone with a team that has to transition quarterbacks, right? I mean, it's not an easy task to prepare on a short week for any team, let alone one that has, to have a new quarterback come in. But it's like, come on, man, he's a veteran. You know what I mean? I mean, if anybody in that quarterback room should have come out and played well. It should have been him, and it was really disappointing to see that he just couldn't get it together.
I feel like it's, I'll come out and say when I'm wrong. And at the beginning of this year, I said to Joe, and I think you and Liam may have been on that podcast, I really thought the Steelers may have set themselves with the best QB trio, not necessarily the best quarterback. I thought the depth was great. God, was I wrong, because they stink. And if you've watched, and I mean Kenny Pickett all the way down, and again, I don't know if it's all Kenny Pickett's fault, but they've all stuck.
Right.
And if you looked at this past Sunday, we have backups galore all over the NFL, and they're lighting things up. Joe Flacco's 146 years old. He got him from Target. He got done to Target. They brought him in. He threw for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns. In 2 games, he's thrown for 540 yards and 5 touchdowns. What the hell are we doing that we couldn't go at this point? Go get Ben off the couch. I mean, Ben's 41. I'm dead serious. He could come in and do something. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, he's not physically ready, and he would still be better.
And Mitch
than what they have.
sitting there saying, "I'd like to run a high." Yes, I'd like. Good point. He says, "I want to run a high-powered offense." Have you been watching? I mean, a high-powered offense. Where the hell are you going to get that?
Exactly.
That poor Kenny Pickett. I mean, he's doing what they want to. I think 218 pass attempts without an interception. That's great.
Right.
But the poor guy's only got like 9 touchdowns because you won't let him do anything. They're not going to let you do anything, Mitch. And that's the thing. Like, that's so absurd to even say that, because it's like, have you watched? I mean, we could not sit here with a straight face and say the Steelers are going to open it up next week and they're just going to go run and shoot. And are you no? Yeah. I mean,
yeah, you're right. It was like he didn't know anything about the offense.
Exactly.
I don't know where to begin. I don't know. Let's start with the quarterbacks. So you mean to tell me that they missed out on 3 quarterbacks in a row? Yeah, kind of looks like it. We all thought that too. We all thought, what a strong, at least maybe not the greatest group, but like 1 to 3. They had the best group of anyone in the NFL, because usually, you have Josh Allen and then the garbage man is the backup or something like that, or Joe Burrow and some schmuck. Well, it turns out even the schmuck is good. But we said this last week of like, oh, maybe Mitch will be better. Maybe this is his, maybe he'll improve on his resume. Like, we know what Mitch is now.
Yeah.
He sucks, but I mean, just this entire team from top down, and it's not just the players, it's the coaching too. The coaching is a disaster right now. All of them. Yeah. This team is unprepared every week. This team schematically gets out-coached every week. Everything, every aspect of the coaching is a disaster right now. They can't even line up right. Right.
Yeah. Jeez. Like that was multiple times that's happened this year. And it's like, what? Like, what are we, even the announcers were like, boy, you know what I mean? That really happens. The thing on Miles Killebrew, that was kind of BS. That was BS. I don't even know what that was about, but yeah, I mean, you just can't, you can't win. Although special teams, if there's any highlight, you know what I mean, in terms of which aspect of the game is playing better than the other, it definitely seems to be special teams. I mean,
they're not that good either.
They've been blocking punts left and right. Very exciting. But yeah, no, they're not great. But at least they're doing something, which is more than it seems like.
It's pretty bad when you're trying to figure out, and you're right. Some of the best things been our punting and our field goal kicking. If Boz wouldn't have botched that 45-yard field goal 2 weeks ago, but and that's the thing too. It's the level of who they're playing against. I mean, you probably could not, any NFL team right now would go for this late in the season, go back to back against the Cardinals and the Patriots.
Right.
You know, it's like, seems like the Chiefs every week are playing like the Bills, or they're playing the 49ers or the Eagles. And we're here playing the Patriots and the Cardinals, and we get our what's handed to us 2 weeks in a row.
4-20. That was their record combined. 4-20. We couldn't beat that. We couldn't do it. It's just bad. It's not like it was even
I
appreciate the 420 references, Allison. I appreciate those.
You know.
I want to smoke a lot of things right now. Right, go ahead.
No, that was pretty good. It was fire tonight. No, you look at that and you look at how they lost the opponents, and even this past Thursday, because Joe, you and I, we talked about it. We're kind of setting up for a little bit of a disappointment. We like, okay, not getting our hopes up. And I sat there. Where I lost it was the post game, where Tomlin sits down there and says, "We'll do it. We're going to come back, and it's what we do." It's not what you do.
Lose is what you do.
Yeah.
I think if you always watch those. The Steele, it'll pop up on my phone or on my whatever. Here's the post game conference, and you get on there and you got to wait. And there's a myriad of comments below, and usually it's all kind of cheerleaders. Some there, a couple pissed off people, a couple idiots. There was all pissed off people after he said that. I mean, the internet broke. I mean, Steeler fans lost it. They've had it with the Tomlinisms. They've had it with the standards of standard. It's what we do. We don't. They've had it. I've had it. They've had it.
Yep.
And it went viral, and it's been going viral ever since. I think Steeler fans are done. They've had enough. And again, hey, if we would have lost to the Niners and the Chiefs back to back, okay,
right?
It's the level of opponents they lose to, the way you lose it. I mean, again, your defense plays stellar in the second half with hurt guys everywhere, and you still can't surmount an 11-point deficit to win. I mean, it's just awful.
Yeah.
Horrible football. It's I always make not the joke. I think a lot of times, Joe and Allison, on Friday nights when I'm calling a football game, if I have two bigger schools, it's a marquee matchup, there's a lot on the line, it's a good game, it's pretty easy to call it. If I have a game that's someone's getting blown out, that especially by the second half, you and your broadcast partner are really working hard to try to keep an interest, try to keep the listeners going, trying to find what you can and everything you can. Maybe pick out a guy that's just a hard player or whatever. And you look at these games, and I can't find any of that anymore. I mean, it's just like, to Allison's point, the punter, I guess.
Right.
You had to block punt. I mean, you're reaching for that kind of stuff, and that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm in a bad 1A or 2A game with the teams up, and they're in the mercy rule in the second half. Only we need the mercy rule in the NFL because it was like, there was no mercy. We had to go through the whole thing on a Thursday night of this against a horrible Patriots team. And again, it's the Patriots. If it's the Browns and the Ravens, it's bad. The Patriots might as well be in the AFC North because it's just as bad. Tomlin's now lost 8 of his last 9 against him, 10 of 13 total. Belichick owns him. You can say what you want about Belichick, Brady, no Belichick. Belichick owns him. He's been outcoached yet again by Bill Belichick.
Yeah. And he described, the Arizona game as JV football. And I'm like, it's not even JV football anymore. This is Pee Wee football is what the Steelers are playing.
But that's just it. The Arizona game, you could say, oh man, clearly they did what we all did. They looked at Arizona like, these guys suck. We're gonna destroy them. And then Arizona came out and just smacked them in the mouth, and there's nothing they could do. It's like, okay, we screwed up, fine. But the thing about a Tomlin team is, they might lose to some crap team, but the next week they're going to show up. They're a well-coached team. They're going to go out there. They're going to ball out. They're going to win. And look what happened. And that's why I think one of the many reasons why I think he has lost this team for the first time in his tenure here. He has lost the team.
Yeah, there was some concern about it last year, but this year seems to be more so because nobody is happy with what's happening.
Yeah, those are all
in Pittsburgh right now. No team is happy, no players.
Yeah. Some of the players have been calling that out too, Allison. I think you posted some stuff about that where side remarks, from they know our plays. Freiermuth killed me because he said it's like we've been running the same place for 3 years in a row now. This is your own players talking. This isn't you or me coming up with an opinion. Your own players are coming out, and that's why I think you're right, Joe, about losing the team. It used to be, I guess a Steeler way kind of thing. Allison and I were talking about that before you jumped on, of we don't talk outside of these doors. It stays in the locker room. It stays on the practice field. Now it's all coming out, and they're right about that because look at some of these guys that are succeeding, like Browning, Flacco, even Gardner Minshew that you mentioned, Allison. That's because the Colts, the Browns, the Bengals, they're finding ways to scheme for them to be successful. Like, okay, what's Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco can probably still throw the ball 65 yards. Let's scheme to that. Gardner Minshew's an incredibly accurate passer, but he's good over the middle and slots and on a flat. So what do? They schemed him. They don't scheme shit. Sorry, Joe. I have to edit that one. So to the Kenny Pickett supporters, I think that part of it's right. Like maybe I know we're going on year 3 next year, but maybe let's see what Kenny could do if you had someone in there who scheme to his abilities. I don't know. Maybe there's the other part. Maybe Pickett does stink. I don't know yet.
Nobody knows.
And that's got to frustrate him. I mean, you put in Kenny Pickett, she's like, what the hell's going on here? And they just don't scheme. We're just going to go out and do the same thing. Like you said, that's like Pee-wee ball. I'm just going to run about 4 or 5 plays during flag football for my 5 to 8-year-olds because that's what they're able to do. And that's what it looks like what the Steelers are doing.
So if we were to put on a list of what's the biggest problems or what has made the season, and yes, they're 7-6, which is the biggest smoke and mirrors ever, biggest house of cards. But if you want to put the biggest problems, it's either the coaching, and we're talking about the Matt Canada offensive coaches that have basically ruined this offense, or the quarterbacks just suck. Either of those are possible. Maybe both of those are possible. Those are the biggest things, but also the freaking attitudes on this team, the me first attitudes, and they're not even covering it up. You heard what Minka said. You heard what it's a big deal. And if we're hearing bits and pieces of it publicly, which we're not supposed to, imagine what is going on behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
It is a mess right now.
I saw it somewhere, and you know how Twitter can be. Like, I saw it somewhere in there. It was somebody in the locker room saying it like apparently Cam Hayward went off for like an 8-minute tirade. But I couldn't see it anywhere else, and I haven't seen much since. But apparently he went off.
Like internally or to a reporter or whatever.
Like team meeting, like in the team's face, and apparently you could hear him waiting outside of the locker room and everything like that. And I think they're lost. And that's why, Joe, I don't think it's out of the realm possibility they lose the next 4 games because, it's not us being pessimistic. I just don't see when they don't beat the Cardinals and the Patriots at home. I don't see it. At least with the Cardinals, Allison, I think you made the point last week or 2 weeks ago, the lightning, storms, you got to reset from that. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I don't know what it was Thursday. Short week, but, if anything, you'd say, well, it's a short week, but at least it's a 2-win team. It's got one of the worst offenses and defenses in the league. So, if anything, we should be able to do the minimum and beat this team.
Nope. Yeah, we made New England, we made the Patriots look like a playoff team.
Yep, and the Bengals look pretty red hot right now.
Oh yeah.
Your point, the Colts are a good team.
They made Bailey Zappi look like the love child of Tom Brady and Joe Montana. Like, what the heck are we doing here, people? And that's the problem. How did they get to 7-6? How did they win 7 games? They won it by amazing defense that had timely turnovers and big splash plays, and the offense. They showed up for work, I guess. But
they didn't turn it over.
They didn't turn it. Yeah, that's it. They didn't screw up. Big, congratulations. Go get your participation ribbon.
Yeah.
But now you don't have that because now it's not a perfect defense because they lost all their inside linebackers. So now it's not perfect. And now you have things like Bailey Zappi going off for 3 touchdowns in a quarter and a half, and they can't recover from that. And it is the most ridiculous way to expect to win football. It's like, well, awesome on defense, and if we're just okay on offense, or just only horribly mediocre on offense, then we'll get away with winning a game. And that's like the thinnest margin of error. You have to be absolutely perfect. You have to thread a needle to do that kind of stuff. And now they can't. And now when you have things like Mitch Trubisky throwing 90-yard bombs on 4th and 2 at the end of the game,
oh God,
throwing interceptions. What was that?
And I mean, and because he hadn't completed a pass like that all night,
all game. Anytime there was a deep shot, not once, not once.
Not to mention you're throwing it to the guy that drops the ball.
Right.
I mean, who drew up that play? I mean, honestly. So
all they needed was 3 yards. Jalen Warren could have done that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Exactly.
That Jalen Warren could have.
He's not a bad runner. Mitch Trubisky could have gotten 3 yards.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, for the love of God, it's
right. Yeah. He was. If there was anything, Mitch Trubisky. You know what I mean? Like he's got the legs. You know what I mean? We saw that he's a better mobile quarterback than Kenny Pickett is by far. I think.
And Joe, let's go back to something you said because that was really good. If you look at the stats all through the year, stats are always very telling to me. They can be, they're not everything. Some people think they are. But one thing that's kind of glaring to me is as they went throughout the season, they still were in the top pass and rush defensive. Not many touchdowns allowed. Very good. Decent turnover margin. Sack, not bad. But the thing that kept piling up was the yardage. Like they were in the bottom 10 of yardage allowed. Why is that? Because your offense sucks so bad that you are relying on your defense. And what happens as you go along in a season, it's a long season. It's even longer than it was just 5 or 6 years ago. That defense gets more and more gas. You are asking them to do too much. They're getting hurt. They're tired. And I hate to put it all on the offense, but I'll put most of it on the offense. I mean, it's just that's why your defense is doing this. And it's culminating in total implosion now. They're only giving us one good half of football now. And this point it was the Patriots. And God knows what could happen against the Bengals or the Colts in the next 2 weeks. So
because they don't have the depth. They don't have the depth to overcome. You know what I mean? Earlier in the season, it was great. TJ and Alex could get spelled, and these quality dudes could come in and play a couple snaps. You know what I mean? And not crap the bed, but they don't have that depth anymore. They don't.
Right.
Who's their inside linebackers? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, maybe you might be there. I don't know. I mean,
I might. I think I do pretty good.
Joe.
Me and Joe.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go out there.
Right, and like I said at the top of the show, you take the Giants teams, right? So the Giants have won, I believe, 4 Super Bowls. I don't remember any of those Super Bowls, and I know they had Phil Simms, and I know they had Eli Manning, pretty good quarterbacks, but none of those offenses blew you away. Joe Morris, pretty good running back. O.J. Anderson, pretty good running back. Some decent guys here and there, but no stellar offenses that were blowing the crap out of teams. They got there with the good defense and a very good balanced offense. So if the Steelers' offense was at least balanced, Kenny doesn't need to throw 4 touchdowns a game. I've said that from the whole thing. But if he could throw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, if we could put up 24 to 28 points a game, I think it's a different story. But it's not, and that there's just too much on the defense. The reason those Giants defenses work, the reason they were able to beat the Patriots in the last 2 Super Bowls, which nobody gave them a chance in hell, was a good, balanced team. And that's what we're asking for. We're not asking for the Steelers to go 45 points a night. But they are not balanced at all. No.
If only you had an offense that was just okay. If it was just average. And you know what? We've been saying the same freaking thing for like 3 or 4 years now. If only the offense was average. My goodness. At least fun. It's not fun watching these games. It hasn't been fun since Ben and AB and Le'Veon Bell. Honestly, it's painful watching this team, this offense.
Yeah. I mean, if Kenny could just do enough, you know what I mean? Like you said, if they were just average, their defense could carry them. You know what I mean? And that's, like you said, it's a very thin margin, right? I mean, but teams have done that. I mean, look at the Ravens, whatever year they won with Trent Dilfer or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? And the Steelers were capable of that. Not anymore, obviously, but it's like, but when you do, and that's something that you rely on, like you said, it's got to be perfect. And it's just been It's been far from it. Even when they were winning games, we're all like, how? Like the game would end with a win, and we were like, how did that happen? Like we knew it was the defense and whatnot, but still, the offense was playing mistake-free generally. Football. You know what I mean? Jaylen Warren wasn't fumbling and the quarterback wasn't throwing interceptions. And that's how we were winning games, with defense and generally mistake-free offense, despite not putting up any points. And it's just like we can't keep doing that. We can't keep, we're not capable of doing that anymore.
I put out a tweet the night after the game, and part of me regrets it a little bit, but I didn't want to delete it. I mean, it actually got a quick mention on Rich Eisen's show, but I called Tomlin a fraud. I don't mean he's a fraud as a man. I just mean that the whole masquerade that this is he's just some great coach and that all he does is win. That mystique is a fraud, right? You look at 17 years, he's not won a playoff game in 13 of them. The last 3 playoff losses, they've lost by 40 plus points in each one of those games. He's supposed to be some kind of defensive mastermind. That to me is the fraud part of it. I don't mean he is a fraud. I'm not like that. I don't think he's like that as a man. He's a very nice man. He's done a lot. But to me, you're right on everything you're saying there, Allison. To me, it adds up to this being very fraudulent the last couple of years. Joe, I think you put out a tweet. Remember when they were like 11-0, and then some of the national media, some were saying this is kind of a fraudulent 11-0, and we're like, oh no, we're the Steelers,
Right.
And they were kind of right.
Yeah, they were.
That's been the case. I mean, it's just he's been good enough the last couple of years to either masquerade their errors or cover up their inadequacies, however you want to put that. And I think that's all finally falling apart. You just don't have the talent to execute the plays, and you're also not scheming to get the talent to be able to execute the plays. So yeah, they're in trouble in River City.
It's funny you mention Rich Eisen, because he has become a lightning rod this past week or so, because he has basically said, and we hear this throughout the entire national media, they all say the same thing. And actually, at one point this year, when they were 7-4, people were saying Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year. And but in Pittsburgh, there's always been a section of the fan base that has said, I hate the guy, fire Tomlin. There's been I call them the fire Tomlin brigade, and they've been going strong. Now, the people like Rich Eisen and the national reporters and national people, they look at that and say, you Steeler fans that don't like Mike Tomlin, you are crazy. And I've brought this up when I go on other podcasts that aren't in the Pittsburgh area. They think like, what on earth are you talking about? How dare you criticize St. Tomlin for how dare you say he's never had a losing season, you ingrateful, you spoiled fans, you jerks. How dare you criticize this man? And that's just it. It's the same thing, it's the same thing. It's he's such a wonderful person. Look at all the things he's overcome. He's the one that created these things that he's had to overcome. He's the one that picked a crappy quarterback and another crappy quarterback and the third crappy quarterback. He's the one that has created a lot of these problems. And so, he's overcoming his own problems. Whoop-de-doo.
It's very funny, the dichotomy in between both. I think I shared that with you. I work in the sports industry for a living outside of this, and I know Joe pays me very well to do this, and you too, Allison. I'm just kidding. No,
Christmas bonus is coming, guys.
That's right. We love you, Joe. No,
I got it yesterday. I got my bonus yesterday.
I told Joe, it was probably in August. I told Joe I was at this thing in Iowa. That's where my company's located. And there was reps that what I do all from across country. And we were talking about preseason. They all were saying, I'd hire Dallas Cowboy fan. I'd hire Tomlin in a second. Chicago Bears fan. If you got rid of him. And here's the part about it. It's true. I think they're all right. If they let go of Tomlin, I think he gets hired the next day. And Joe, this is something you've been saying for a while now. I think this comes around and validates your point for months now, that I think it's a change of scenery, because I think that's what would happen. I think if he goes to the Bears, I think the Bears are probably a playoff team next year.
Yeah.
He does win games. It's just and then they're gonna say, "Oh, you Pittsburgh fans are all stupid." No. We are still right because enjoy mediocrity because that's what you're gonna get. But
Right.
I do believe that. I think if he goes there, Cleveland, wherever the heck, that's what's gonna happen. It's like Marvin Lewis for all those years in the Bengals. It's just that's what'll happen. That's what'll happen.
Yeah.
And that's your point,
Yeah.
Joe. I think it comes back to he's been here too long. It's so time to change.
I'm gonna take the credit
course
for calling it Andy Reid syndrome.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Andy Reid he was a very good coach in Philadelphia, but he was there so long and it just got old. It's like you gotta go 17 years. Any coach has been around for 17 years in any sport. That is amazing. Congratulations. But it's time to move on. When we hear the Tomlinisms now, when they're winning, they're kind of cute. When they're losing, you're like, we gotta paint the barn red. I want to take that bucket of paint and dump it over your head, bro. We're tired of the cutesy phrases and stuff.
Right.
Just win, baby. That's the phrase I want. Just win, baby. I don't know. Nobody has ever said that phrase before, but yeah, just win, baby.
Yeah. But you look at the next few games and you look at the rest of the season. I mean, the Colts, the Bengals are going to embarrass us. Seattle, as inconsistent as they are, they're going to beat us. And it's tougher because we got to go out to Seattle. And then Baltimore, Baltimore's going to be sitting everybody. We're not going to play any starters on the Ravens, but they're still going to beat us. They're still going to beat us.
Ryan Mallett.
Remember that? Ryan Mallett, yes.
Can have 40 yards.
Although
get him on your fantasy roster.
Could come in handy there. You know what I mean? Because he played for ball. So
but
yes to all of that, and even look at the Eagles. It's good that you brought up the Eagles because they even got rid of Doug Peterson after they won a Super Bowl. Guess what? They've been back to the Super Bowl. Guess what? If you name the top 3 teams right now, they're there. They're there. They're doing a hell of a lot better than we are. They have a hell of a lot better of a chance getting back to Super Bowl and winning one right now than we do. So, I know there is a part of it that's kind of almost romantic or braggadocious to say Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. It's cool. I say it. I've said it before. It's kind of a thing of pride. But like Chuck Noll, I know the 89 season was kind of fun, but after 89, the writing was on the wall. And Cowher, I don't know. I thought maybe Cowher, there's all kinds of rumors on why Cowher left, but it's just kind of time, and I realize careful what you wish for. Right. We could get some dolt in there that, whatever. But like, look at the Carolina Panthers. I mean, my God.
They change a coach every couple of weeks. They fire a coach.
I'd rather be losing because we don't know what to do with coach than the way that we're losing right now. It's like, that there may be a time similar with the quarterbacks. There may be a time where Tomlin leaves and then we may be in a coach carousel or a quarterback.
Frank Reich here as an offensive coordinator.
Thank you. Thank you. He'd be a great coordinator, not a good coach.
But if that's
great
how we were losing, that would be understandable. You know what I mean? It would be understandable if we couldn't get, like if we had issues with whoever we were bringing in or a quarterback or coaching. That would be, there'd be a reason, you know what I mean? But now it's like, we've got all this talent and it's like, what are we doing with it?
Excellent. And I think the reverse point too, right? Tomlin goes to the Bears next year. They go to the playoffs.
Right.
I think whoever comes here, we're probably going to the playoffs too. I think we might win and you might see like Kenny Pickett get, comeback player of the year or something like that. I could see that unfolding. I could see us going to the playoffs next year, winning a playoff game, which is what we wanted this year. That's what we're all hoping. At least the floor would be, maybe the ceiling, who knows? And we're nowhere near that. We're in the basement.
Yeah.
So
when we went from Chuck Noll to Bill Cowher, they won instantly. Why? Because what? They just suddenly got good players? No, it's because of change of coach. When you went from Cowher to Tomlin, they won instantly because of that change in scenery, because of that change in regime. But this speaks to the heart of the matter. Tomlin didn't become a dumber coach. Belichick did not lose 100 IQ points when Tom Brady left. He didn't become dumber. Coaches coaches could be the greatest coaches ever. You could cure cancer. It doesn't matter. It's all who you have in the players. And that's the heart of the matter. And especially the quarterback. And right now, they said first their plan A was Mitch Trubisky. Remember that.
Right. Yeah.
First day of free agency, it's like, we got our guy, Mitch Trubisky. Strike one. I was like, okay, we got in the draft. Oh, we got our guy, our love story, our boy next door, right. Kenny Pickett. Strike two. Strike three was Mason Rudolph. He was actually strike one, but still, if you had
that was strike, yeah.
If you hit on those players, if you hit on your next franchise quarterback, we're not talking about this. Do you think Andy Reid makes a scheme that says, "Hey, Mahomes, I want you to run around like crazy and then flip the ball to Travis Kelce, and then Travis Kelce throws a lateral to someone else"? Like, no, it's because Mahomes is such a superior talent. Same thing with Josh Allen, the elite quarterbacks.
That's, to me, part of the failure too, Joe, on Tomlin is he was handed us a roster of almost, by my math, what I feel should be about 7 Hall of Fame players. Ben and Troy's already in. You probably, I think you'll see Harrison get in. I think you'll see Hines get in eventually. Pouncey wasn't there technically, but he came the year after. I think he could be in. There's a lot of guys there that James Ferrier, my God, I mean, he was handed an unbelievable roster and really won a Super Bowl with it. I get it. I still, again, I know people hate that, but I feel like one of Cowher's players. They go back in Super Bowl, what was it, 45 against the Packers. Couldn't do it. Got outcoached in that game. He got outcoached. That team and never been back since.
Right.
Yeah. You could say.
I think he's just growing complacent. You know what I mean? Like, it's old and it's stale, and they just don't know how to.
But I mean, there is a point there. There is a point there that look at the first part of his tenure when he had quote unquote Cowher's players, and then look at the second part when he had his own people. It didn't work out so well. Yeah, there's
and his
something
people were good. You know what I mean? Like, we did nothing with Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, and Antonio. We did nothing.
Yeah,
and those are like 3 of the best players.
Heath Miller was still there
at their position.
He still had some prime years there when AB and Le'Veon Bell were there.
I'll give him this excuse. There are very few times when all 3 of them were together and healthy. It was always somebody got Antonio Brown got obliterated, and then they had to go into the championship game with nobody, or Bell would be hurt or something like that. Or God forbid, when they were all together, that was the year Shazier got hurt, and they had absolutely no defense, and they lost to Blake freaking Bortles at home on the playoffs. So but I'll leave with this very encouraging, very actually sobering thought. This is from Oneberg. He lists all the quarterbacks between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh yeah,
we got
20 of them.
Cliff Stout, Scott Campbell, David Woodley, Steve Bono, Mark Malone, Todd Blackledge, Bubby Brister, Neil O'Donnell, Jim Miller, Mike Tomczak, Kent Graham, Cordell Stewart, Tommy Maddox, and then Ben Roethlisberger. Right now, we are at the Scott Campbell. We're at number 2. So we have like another 15 quarterbacks to go before we get our next franchise quarterback. We're in for this is just the beginning, folks.
Right.
Imagine the Penguins when Crosby and Malkin, like, they suck now. Imagine when they leave. We got, some schmucks in there. And that's like this could be the beginning of the end. This could be the beginning of the real period of suck. So I don't know.
Thanks for the reminder. Like, my God, those were
always want to leave on a high note.
Yes.
Yeah. That's this is
Joe,
possibly there you go. Putting the bag back on. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Take care.
Oh God, my mouse isn't working. I can't close the damn thing. This thing
podcast it would not end.
It's like, I can't get to the. Oh, there it is. Okay.
All right. See you, Joe.